dear friends and colleagues. Sometimes certain things happen that make you realize how important it is to walk away even from very interesting projects. Not that long ago, I got contacted by a potential client, in fact, a client that I had worked with in the past, asking me to present a bid for an important project that would be taking place not in my hometown but nearby, perhaps about, I would say, an hour and a half by train, or about the same time by plane because of the distance between downtown and the airports. This was a multi-day event and it required several interpreters. I did my due diligence, I prepared my proposal, and I filed it. In my proposal, I requested the customary things as far as fees, work conditions, expenses, and so on. The client received it and said they would take it under advice. A few weeks later, the client contacted me again to tell me that they were still considering it and asking me if we were still available to do the project. At that point, I told the client that perhaps we were, but that we needed to know soon whether or not they were going to retain us or not, so we could move on really save those dates for that work. It was about perhaps a week later that the client contacted me again, this time by email, to let me know that they were turning down our proposal and that they indeed had gone with somebody else to do this project. At that point, I asked if there was anything else that we could do to remain in that consideration for the project. And the client told me that what I needed to do was to meet certain conditions that the other party was offering them. To wit, that although the job was in another town, like I said, about an hour and a half away, the other client had offered to provide interpretation services with interpreters that would travel back and forth from our hometown to the place where the venue was located every day. They agreed to charge by the hour, not by the day. They agreed not to charge for travel time and only be paid for the effective time they had been interpreting. Once that I listened to those conditions, I replied to the client that that was unacceptable and that I really regret that they had gone that way because we had an established relationship for several years, but that unfortunately I had to say no. At that point, I ended the conversation knowing very well that this is perhaps the last time that I will talk to that client, and thinking at the same time that this is a common practice that is happening nowadays, where some interpreters are racing to the bottom of the barrel and just offering things that are unconscionable to the clients in order to get them. And at the same time, it is true that nowadays there are some clients that are willing to go with unknown interpreters, and perhaps some with questionable quality, in order to save just a few dollars. That is a big problem. This was a great project. This is something that I've been doing for many years, but at the same time, there are certain times when you have to say no, because saying no is winning. I hate to do it, but I had to do it this time. And therefore, my friends, I think that when you are offered the possibility of doing a job, even if it's with a client that you have worked with in the past, and the client comes back to you with certain conditions that are absolutely unacceptable, you have to stand your ground and tell the client, no, thank you, I will not be able to perform under those circumstances. Remember, sometimes saying no and rejecting the proposal means winning the deal. At least that is my opinion. Thank you very much.